Action! Put your face right up next to the snake.
Get closer. He's friendly.
Did you 1 inch closer to your face?
Deep inside the Amazon jungle, a young woman named Anna is on the run with her friend Paolo. They're chasing something they cannot fully see or understand. Their plan is dangerous but simple. They want to drive through the jungle, reach the river, and escape by boat. Paolo feels uneasy. He warns Anna that the jungle does not welcome them. Suddenly, something hit the roof of their vehicle. Moments later, they realize it is only a curious monkey, and the tension eases for a short time. Even after hearing many warnings about deadly dangers beyond the road, Anna chooses to run. She jumps onto a motorcycle and speeds away. Her escape does not stay hidden for long. A group of men led by Joe notices her and begins chasing her without mercy. Anna tries to escape. For a moment, it seems she might get away. Then everything changes. A giant anaconda suddenly bursts from the water. In one terrifying moment, it kills one of Joe's men. At the same time, far away in California, a man named Doug is telling an exciting story about a huge monster. Suddenly, his story stops when a couple walks into the room. They're there to hire him to film their wedding. Doug's true passion is creating stories and building imaginary worlds, but to earn money, he films weddings. The work feels boring and repetitive. His clients want safe and generic videos with no emotion or personality. Day by day, this routine wears him down. Somewhere else in the same harsh working world is Ron. He's an actor who keeps fighting to get noticed. After a long wait, he finally lands a very small role. As makeup is applied to his face, hope fills his mind. He tells himself this could be his big break, but the hope fades quickly. Ron steps onto the set, dressed as a nurse. He keeps messing up a simple, unimportant line. After repeating the mistake again and again, he's fired. As Ron walks away from the set, he passes several billboards. One of them makes him stop. It's an ad for the 1997 movie Anaconda. The image stays in his mind longer than expected. At that moment, his phone rings. It's Doug. Doug tells him how proud he is that Ron finally got a role. Those words hit Ron harder than the job ever did. At the same time, Doug keeps typing on his laptop at work. His boss suddenly interrupts him. The boss admits that filming weddings was never Doug's true dream. Still, he tells him to think about the future. He talks about stability, retirement, and promises that the office could one day belong to him. Later, on the way home, Doug's wife, Miley, encourages him to celebrate his birthday. Doug does not expect much, but when they arrive, he is truly surprised. All his friends are there. His son is there too, waiting for him. During the celebration, Doug reconnects with Kenny. Kenny gives him a small basket of self-care items. Doug also talks to Claire. She opens up about being betrayed by her partner and how deeply it hurt her. The night becomes most emotional when Doug meets his best friend, Ron. To mark the moment, Ron plays an old video they made as kids. Doug loosely directed it back then. In the video, Doug, Ron, Kenny, and Claire act as heroes. Together, they defeat an imaginary monster. Watching it brings back strong memories. The next day, the four friends meet again at a restaurant. They laugh, eat, and talk about old times. Soon, the conversation turns to their favorite movie, Anaconda. They begin quoting famous lines. For a moment, they feel like kids again, replaying scenes they still remember by heart. Suddenly, Ron changes the mood. He drops a surprising truth. He says he met the widow of the original author and bought the rights to the story. Doug is shocked and asks what Ron plans to do with them. Ron answers without hesitation. He wants to make a brand new film. He wants all of them involved. Ron's excitement spreads through the table. Everyone feels drawn in, except Doug. Doug stays quiet. The idea feels heavy. He has a family to support with a stable job. Ron tries to remind him of the past. He talks about who they used to be and what they once believed in. Doug responds with painful honesty. He says they are not kids anymore. Life now demands responsible choices. His disappointment is clearly visible. In the end, Ron walks away from the table. Back at home, Doug sits with his son and watches the old short film from his childhood again. A little later, Miley joins them. When they are finally alone, she encourages Doug to make the movie. She tells him something honest. Every time he watches that old film, his eyes light up. It is a spark she has not seen in years. Later that day, Doug is editing yet another wedding video. The work feels empty and familiar. Suddenly, an idea hits him. Without stopping to think, Doug gets in his car and drives straight to Ron's place. He tells Ron they cannot wait anymore. They must reimagine Anaconda now, before the chance slips away forever. That same night, Doug feels a rush of energy he cannot explain. He sits down and writes the first draft of the new script in one go. Doug will direct the film. The rest of the group will join as co-producers. When Doug starts calculating the costs, the truth hits hard. They would need about $2 million to make it properly. The money would cover a 3-week trip to Brazil, a rented boat, full filming equipment, and even a real snake. They try everything to raise the money. They apply for loans. In the end, they barely collected $9,400. Doug goes back to the numbers and makes tough choices. He cuts the budget down to just $43,000. After reading the final script, Ron is blown away. He doesn't hold back. He calls it a complete masterpiece. Then an old truth comes out. Kenny once worked with Doug before. Doug had to fire him after Kenny drank too much and ruined a wedding shoot. The moment is tense, but Doug does not hesitate. He chooses to trust Kenny again. He gives him a second chance and invites him back as the cameraman. On the day Doug and the team leave for Brazil, before they leave, Doug's son gives him a small trophy. It has the words "Best Doug" engraved on it. The gift is simple, but it touches Doug deeply. After they arrive in Brazil, Doug shares something with the group. During the flight, he had been reading about anacondas. He explains how they hunt without making a sound. They stay completely still and wait. When their prey comes close, they strike fast. They wrap their bodies around it and squeeze until there is no way to escape. Just then, a snake dealer named Carlos Santiago appears. He tells them a dark and disturbing story. He speaks about a woman who was caught by an anaconda. He describes how the pressure was so strong that her eyes popped out of their sockets. Then he reveals the truth. That woman was his grandmother. Carlos then talks about the snake he is renting to them. He says he rescued it from a river polluted by mercury. He assures them the snake is not venomous. He says that when handled properly, it is harmless. Even so, Carlos gives them a warning. He tells them to be extremely careful. Wild anacondas still live in the region. At the same time, Enna hides inside a restaurant. Joe is searching for her everywhere and refuses to give up. Enna spots a man nearby who is clearly drunk and barely aware of what is happening. She takes advantage of the moment and steals his boat. She does not realize it is the same boat Carlos is loading with filming equipment. During the confusion, the container holding the snake breaks open. At that exact moment, Enna appears. She quickly makes up a story. She says her grandfather owns the boat and has suffered a medical emergency. She claims she needs the boat right away. Her demand puts the entire shoot in danger. The crew tries to stop her and explain the situation. They tell her they are filming a new version of Anaconda. They explain how much the project means to Doug. It is his lifelong dream. Joe is getting closer by the second. In the end, Enna agrees to help and prepares to take control of the boat. As the group steps aboard, their mood shifts. They are surprised to see how impressive it is. The boat is far more luxurious than expected, almost like a private yacht. Meanwhile, Joe asks for a record of every boat that has left the area in the last few hours. He is determined not to lose Enna's trail. That night, during dinner, Doug stands up and raises his glass. He makes a quiet toast to the gods of cinema. He asks them for one simple favor. Please do not ruin his movie. The next day, filming begins near a massive waterfall. In the first scene, Ron and Claire act out an argument. At the same time, Kenny records short daily videos. He keeps a production diary, capturing everything behind the scenes. The old split between Ron and Doug comes to light. They once planned to move to Los Angeles together to chase their dreams, but Doug stayed behind. With Carlos's help, Kenny shoots a series of POV shots from the Anaconda's perspective. As the shoot continues, an old spark begins to return between Ron and Claire. Being close to each other and sharing memories fuels it. Later, Doug points out the obvious chemistry between them. Ron admits something as well. Working alongside his friends feels unmatched. During dinner, the crew discusses the action scenes they still need to film. The conversation becomes tense and even a little absurd. For a moment, Anna wonders if she should have ever gotten involved. Later that night, while everyone is asleep, Carlos's snake moves quietly across the boat. It stops just inches from Ron. He wakes up suddenly, panic flooding him. Driven by pure instinctive fear, he screams. The next day, Ron confronts Kenny. He calls out Carlos for being unprofessional. He points out that Carlos never showed any certification proving the snake was properly handled or controlled. Carlos stays calm. He tries to reassure them that everything is safe. Half of them are convinced, and with no better option, the crew decides to move forward. They prepare to film the most dangerous shots of the movie. At first, Ron hesitates. He's nervous about shooting the scene. Doug talks him into it, reminding him it is a key moment for the story. Then, Doug asks Ron to hold the snake closely during the take. Fear overtakes him. In a panic, Ron throws the snake into the water. Within seconds, the boat's propellers hit the animal. The snake is shredded instantly, dying on the spot. Carlos holds a small symbolic funeral, burning the remains of his beloved snake as a final goodbye. Later, one of Joe's men manages to track them down, but before he can report their location, a real anaconda bursts from the water. It swallows him whole, giving him no chance to react. Later, Ron tries to make peace with Carlos. He apologizes for what happened, but Carlos refuses to even look at him. After insisting, Ron offers Carlos a few beers. Slowly, they begin talking. Ron opens up about his struggling career. He admits he feels stuck and like a failure. Hearing his friend's confession moves Carlos. Feeling inspired, he makes a reckless choice. He decides to go alone into the jungle to capture another snake. His goal is to help Ron finally achieve the success he has been dreaming of. Together, they went into the jungle under the cover of night. As they move deeper, the forest feels alive and dangerous. Eventually, they get separated. The anaconda begins stalking them silently, moving without a sound. Terrified, Ron calls out to Carlos. He begs him to return to the boat, but Carlos does not answer, and Ron cannot find him anywhere. With no other choice, Ron decides to turn back alone. For Carlos, luck runs out. The massive anaconda intercepts him. In a sudden, brutal attack, it kills him. Back on the boat, Ron tells Doug that Carlos is missing. He tries to downplay it, saying Carlos will probably be back by morning. But as more than an hour passes, the group starts feeling uneasy. With no other choice, they decide to search for him, taking Enna along. Eventually, deep in the jungle, they find an abandoned truck. Meanwhile, Joe has secretly slipped onto the boat. He is quietly coordinating with his men to track Enna. The film crew takes shelter inside the abandoned truck. Suddenly, the anaconda hurls Carlos's lifeless body onto the vehicle. Chaos erupts instantly. Everyone freezes in terror as a massive creature looms over them. The truck's engine won't start, and Kenny cannot fix it. He's too high and completely out of it. With time running out, Doug takes a risk. He steps outside carefully, trying not to make any sound. He manually reconnects the wiring. The moment the headlights flick on, a horrifying sight is revealed. The anaconda was inches away from devouring him. They barely get out alive. The truck starts and they speed away at full force. During their escape, Joe's men intercept them. Anna finally reveals the truth about them. The men are illegal miners, willing to kill anyone who enters their land. Without hesitation, Anna grabs a rifle. She takes them down one by one with ruthless precision. Kenny records the entire scene on his phone. Just as they near the boat, Anna suddenly breaks away from the group. Joe stops them and demands to know where she went. The four friends pretend not to know anything. At that exact moment, Anna appears behind Joe. She knocks him out with a clean, decisive strike. Back on the boat, Anna tells Doug she can get them out of the jungle safely. She warns them to keep heading north and not stray from the course. Doug feels disappointed that they have to end the shoot early, but he makes a bold decision. He rewrites the story from scratch. Anna becomes the main hero, while Ron and Claire take supporting roles. The next day, Doug shows the group the new script. Tension rises immediately. Ron and Claire feel sidelined and betrayed by the changes. That night, Ron opens up to Claire. He admits the frustration he has carried from years of professional failure. Claire responds with honesty of her own. Despite seeming successful, her personal life is in chaos. The next morning, Ron, clearly drunk, confronts Doug. In the middle of their argument, they notice a massive production ship passing by. It is full of Hollywood stars. It is the official Anaconda shoot, backed by a major international studio. Reality hits hard. The group turns on Ron. Finally, he admits the truth. He never had the rights to the story. It was all a lie, a desperate con meant to shake them out of their mediocre lives and push them to chase their dreams just once. Furious and deeply disappointed, Doug kicks Ron out without giving him a chance to explain. Ron gathers his things and leaves in a small boat. Claire tries to convince him to stay, reminding him of their friendship, but nothing she says changes his mind. Not long after, Ron comes across something terrifying. The massive studio set has been completely destroyed. He watches in horror as the giant snake attacks and devours the only survivor left. Panicked, he turns around to rush back and warn his friends. Meanwhile, the cruise boat has stopped. Doug explains that Enna has found a new location to continue filming. Claire feels uneasy. She insists they should go after Ron, convinced he's in danger. That's when Enna reveals her true intentions. She pulls a gun and forces Doug, Claire, and Kenny to follow her toward a specific part of the jungle. Almost at the same time, Joe arrives and Ron returns too, but both of them find the boat empty. Shortly after, Ron spots Joe's raft and begins devising a desperate plan. Enna leads Doug, Claire, and Kenny to an abandoned dock. There, they dig up several hidden packages. The truth comes out. Anna is a smuggler, and the packages of gold are part of her illegal operation. Out of nowhere, Joe appears. The story takes a shocking twist. He is actually an undercover cop working to protect the jungle's natural resources. In the chaos, Ron bursts in to save his friends. In the confusion, he accidentally shoots Joe from far. He realizes too late the terrible mistake he has made. Anna raises her weapon toward the group. Joe tries to stop her, but she executes him without hesitation. With no way out, Anna prepares to kill them all. Claire tries to reason with her. She begs Anna to do the right thing and let them go, but it doesn't work. Just when everything seems lost, Claire finds unexpected courage. She knocks Anna out cold and takes the machine gun from her hands. At that exact moment, the Anaconda erupts from the water. It drags Anna down into the depths. Using the chaos to their advantage, the group runs for safety. Claire shouts that the boat is on the other side, but Ron warns them that the creature is still out there. In the middle of their escape, Doug suddenly feels a sharp pain. He realizes a spider has bitten him. Kenny, in his usual clumsy way, suggests a solution: pee on the wound. At first, it seems ridiculous, but humiliating as it is, Kenny actually does it. He pees on Doug's leg, adding an absurd, almost darkly funny moment. After that strange scene, the four of them carefully push deeper into the jungle. Doug tries to reason with Ron. He admits that he has always been jealous of Ron's talent and the chances life seems to give him. Before the conversation can continue, the Anaconda suddenly appears. It grabs Doug and drags him violently into the dense jungle. The rest of the group freezes in horror. They are lost and terrified in the vast jungle. With nothing they can do, they are forced to retreat. As they wander without a clear direction, Ron feels overwhelmed with guilt. He blames himself for bringing everyone into such danger. Claire tries to comfort him. She reminds them that they all chose to make the movie, and now the only thing that matters is surviving. Eventually, they reach higher ground. Kenny looks ahead and points out a problem. The open area in front of them is far too exposed to cross safely. If they're going to make it, they will need a distraction. Suddenly, they hear the ground-shaking sound of the massive predator getting closer. Scanning the area, Ron sees something horrifying: his friend's body soaked in blood. In a move that is both desperate and unthinkable, Kenny suggests using what they believe is Doug's corpse as bait. It's a way to distract the creature while they make their escape. Terrified and out of options, the group reluctantly agrees. They lay Doug out in a clearing surrounded by dead animals. The Anaconda comes closer. Suddenly, they realize in shock that Doug is still alive. They scream at him, begging him to run. In the chaos, a pig that had been sleeping on top of Doug wakes up. The snake attacks the pig instead, giving Doug just enough time to escape. Seizing the moment, the group runs and manages to get to a safe distance. Once they are out of danger, Ron and Doug finally reconcile, finding peace in their friendship at last. At night, as the friends reach the ruins of the large studio film set, Ron finds a radio and tries to contact for help. Suddenly, the radio crackles and a chilling voice says, "Behind you." The Anaconda strikes again. At the very last second, they are saved. A man arrives and drives the monster back with gunfire. It is none other than Ice Cube, the legendary survivor of the original 90s expedition. His arrival is both unexpected and miraculous. Once they are safe, he explains the situation. The entire area is filled with cameras and explosives, but the controls were destroyed by the creature itself. After snapping a quick selfie with the group, he hands a gun to Ron. His goal is clear. He is determined to find Jennifer Lopez and the rest of his crew who are still missing. Then the veteran heads back into the jungle. Meanwhile, Doug and Ron prepare to end the nightmare once and for all. They come up with a plan to use the site's pyrotechnics to their advantage. Kenny and Claire work on activating every light and camera that still functions. Doug and Ron get ready to lure the beast into the blast zone, using a vehicle as bait. Sensing the creature closing in, Ron yells to grab its attention. Seconds later, the Anaconda bursts from the shadows. Doug floors the vehicle, speeding toward the trap. When they reach the first trigger point, nothing happens. The explosions fail. Kenny and Claire jump into action, frantically searching for the control panel by hand. They finally manage to trigger the first blast and run for their lives, only to reach a dead end. The explosions weren't enough to stop the massive creature. Ron steps forward, gun in hand. He shouts the heroic lines he once used in the videos they made as kids. One precise shot hits a gas line, causing a massive explosion that blasts the Anaconda in 1,000 pieces. In the creature's final desperate strike, Doug finishes it without mercy. He stabs it with a small statuette his son gave him, finally ending the nightmare that has hunted them for so long. 1 year later, everything has changed. What began as a chaotic project full of mistakes, danger, and desperate choices has become an unexpected success. The film wins awards at a festival. A dream that started in childhood has finally come true. Ron and Claire decide to celebrate their love with a monster-themed wedding inspired by space creatures. At the same time, Ron lands a major role in a TV series. The perfect ending arrives when Jennifer Lopez shows up at Doug's house. She tells him she was genuinely blown away by his work. Then she invites him to direct the next official installment of the franchise, finally fulfilling the dream that has followed him since childhood. In one last twist, Carlos is miraculously still alive. That is how the story ends. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and subscribe. And now, Movie Mystery Lab signing out.